That's right, Sonic Dream Team is the best Sonic game of the year. Hey, what's up everyone, it's me, Speed Supersonic, bringing you guys another video. In this video today, we're doing kind of a review slash discussion video for Sonic Dream Team. Now this isn't a direct review of Sonic Dream Team. I'm not going over each individual element doing that because that's not really how I work here when it comes to video games. If you guys watch this channel, which if you haven't, you guys should probably subscribe, it's a big year coming up. But my expertise is in film and television. That's where I can really dissect things really properly and give my expertise. With video games, I am no master when it comes to design, physics, any of that. I just know what's fun, what plays good, what I prefer and what I don't. But I can tell you that I had a blast with Sonic Dream Team. I think this is without a doubt some of the most fun I've had with a Sonic game in a very, very long time. Even though I don't want to say that this is better than something like Sonic Frontiers, because there's just a whole lot more meat on the bone in that game and a lot more ambition in that game, which is something I overall can appreciate for an Apple Arcade exclusive game that was announced a little under a month ago. It is mind-blowingly impressive how this thing turned out for something that's supposed to be played on an iPhone or an iPad or an Apple TV. Now before we get into the meat and potatoes of this video, I think we should have a solid understanding of what Sonic Dream Team is. The game opens with Dr. Eggman trying to create this dream-controlling device called the Reverend, where all of his twisted, maniacal dreams can come true, sucking Sonic and friends into it. Then they meet the Guardian of the Reverie called REM, which is actually, I think, a little play on words of REM Sleep, which I think is pretty funny, who I really do like the design of. I believe her character is based off of a sheep, which is cool. We don't see a lot of that in Sonic. And basically with her help, they're able to travel through all of these Eggman dreams to prevent those dreams from becoming a reality in the real world. The story isn't anything too crazy or ambitious. Like I said, it's nothing compared to Sonic Frontiers in my opinion, or an SA2. It's simple, it's simplistic, but it works, especially for a mobile game. There are a few cutscene sequences, but a majority of the story in this game is told through little slides with CGI characters, yes, used, but not animated. It is all voice acted though, with a bunch of different characters. But how does the game overall play? Well, the game's great. It is our really first full 3D Sonic game since 2006 with Sonic the Hedgehog 2006, which is crazy to say. Now yes, Frontiers was primarily 3D with its open environments, but there was still some 2D sections in there and sprinkled in there with the cyberspace levels and even some mini segments in the open world that went to 2D. So yeah, that doesn't fully count with Sonic Frontiers, but this, no 2D segments whatsoever. This is fully 3D, and because of that, this is receiving a lot of comparisons to the Sonic Adventure games and Sonic Heroes and stuff like that, which is completely fair. Well, I don't think this really is like a Sonic Adventure or Sonic Heroes. There are a lot of similarities that I think do make this to be an overall better experience than most recent Sonic 3D affair. The maps are wide, they're open, and while they're not particularly long, because you do have these objectives which can be completed in a quick amount of time, there are a lot of collectibles that are out of the way that you need to find to collect, so you really have to run around the map and find these things in certain crevices and places that you might not fully expect. There are a lot of different branching pathways, a lot of pathways where you have to go into a specific direction or run or climb or jump somewhere that can only be used with a specific character. That's great. It did remind me a lot of the Sonic Adventure games, which made me so happy. I think even more than Adventure, this reminded me a lot of Heroes, not just because how wide the character selection is and the fact that all of these characters were playable in Heroes. I don't know, some of the level design and also like the aesthetics of the levels just reminded me a lot of Heroes in some ways. The game controls great. I love the way it plays. It's really, really polished, which surprised me. I didn't run into a lot of slowdown or glitches whatsoever. This thing was really checked over and made sure that it was like as perfect as it could be going out to the public. I never found myself getting bored with this game, and that was surprising because this is a mobile game, something that can become really fatiguing or really uninteresting after like a few really minutes of playing. But this feels like a full-on Sonic game on your mobile device. All of the characters I found extremely fun to control as and play. They all have their own features. It's incredibly fun. I'm so happy to have Cream back. I'm gushing about this game, and I feel like I've been talking about it a little too long, and I'm kind of missing the overall point of this video because here's the deal. The video is titled Sonic Dream Team is the best Sonic game of the year. That's a problem, and yeah, in my opinion that is kind of a problem. Not on Sonic Dream Team's part, obviously, it did nothing wrong here, it's a very good boy. But this is also kind of partially a video about the other Sonic game that came out this year, Sonic Superstars. If you guys didn't realize on this channel, I didn't do a whole lot of Superstars coverage. I reacted to the trailer when it first dropped, I did a couple news updates early on into the game's life cycle of news coming out about it. I eventually did a video picking up the game, which I had a blast doing. I really liked that video and I'm glad you guys liked it. But there was no proper review or anything for Superstars on the channel. I haven't really touched Superstars that much, and that's because it didn't interest me, really. I'm being completely honest. I don't sugarcoat things on this channel. I really do give my honest opinion, and I know a majority of the time I really like almost everything that the Sonic franchise has been putting out lately, and Superstars is not a bad game. It is good, it's fine. But it didn't really do anything that really excited me or pushed the franchise particularly forward, and there was just, let's be real, no hype going into this game into its launch. They dropped this thing on the same week, a few days before Super Mario Wonder and Spider-Man 2 dropped. But both of those games came out on the same day and they were still able to have their own lanes and be incredibly successful. Sonic Superstars had its own day to launch despite, yes, releasing so close to those two. It just wasn't even able to compete. And it's been confirmed since by Sega that Sonic Superstars isn't selling well right now and is really underperformed for them. That's not great. And I think that's for a few reasons. Well, one, Superstars is just fine. It's really not all that innovative or amazing or anything that really particularly stands out to you. It does classic Sonic really well, but I feel like it's running a bit stale. Not only do I think the fan base is a little bit fatigued with it, but I think the general audiences as well. They really need to push Sonic forward, and I think that idea has already been shown to Sega in the success of Sonic Frontiers. This is going back to square one with Sonic, going to 2D platforming and stuff like that, which I do think will always have a place for Sonic, but not only going against your direct competition, another 2D game in a 3D franchise that's going back to its roots, just doing it a whole lot better and more creatively. With Dream Team, it was trying some stuff that hasn't been tried in a very long time, in a kind of similar way to Super Mario Wonder. Not in that 2D realm, but in a part of the franchise that needed to be kind of updated a bit, being 3D Sonic. This went back to that mid-2000s Sonic 3D platforming and really brought it back. I'm not saying it's the greatest way of all time, but it handled it very well, did it very well. Superstars is following up Mania, which only released a few years ago, and that game is better than Superstars. This didn't top it, this didn't do anything particularly that much more amazing than it. Mania and stuff like that had Mighty and Ray, a bunch of really cool references and Easter eggs, and all of these new features, and it's incredibly faithful, and it did a great job because we haven't seen that kind of 2D Sonic in a really, really long time. With this, it's like the Generation Forces style, but it just had some cool features with multiplayer stuff and the whole like Lego skins, and that stuff was cool, but there was no marketing around this game. There was nothing particular to get you excited about because it was just another 2D Sonic game. With Dream Team, this thing had barely any marketing campaign behind it. It was announced like, hey, this is coming out, with some peppering of information scattered throughout the month, and then boom, the game's here, and we're really able to enjoy it, and it's really fun. And that's a mobile game developed by your mobile division of Hardlight. Sonic Superstars was a $60 game. This was a main release for Sonic for the year. This was the Sonic game of the year, and it really just came and went, like Sega has confirmed. And why Sonic Dream Team, I think, in the long run, is going to be incredibly successful. I would not be surprised if numbers come out and this thing has ultimately boosted up the number of Apple Arcade subscribers by a mile. There's big reason for this to become one of their biggest games. This thing is incredibly well done and is way better than it has any right to be. Once again, I don't want to entirely crap on Superstars because I don't think it is a bad game. I think you can have a lot of fun with it, and I had fun with it at points. But ultimately, I'm just being honest with you guys, that kind of Sonic just doesn't really excite me. This, though, does excite me. Not only is it the Sonic that I grew up with, but it's also just a lot more fun to play. There's more ambition in it. I think the story in this is ultimately better than in Superstars. Also, the level design in this thing was great. It reminded me so much of the Adventure and Heroes games. And also, this thing was like a good 3 hours long, like a good sit-through, not even including additional content, like the Tails missions and stuff like that, and all of the collectibles that you might have to get in order to 100% the game to get all of the trophies and stuff. This thing is longer than some Sonic titles. I wouldn't be surprised if this thing is longer than a Forces or a Sonic Generations. Definitely it's longer than. This is like a full-on Sonic game on mobile. And does it get a little repetitive at points with some of its missions repeating itself by act and stuff like that? Yeah, but I don't know. I just thought this was great, and ultimately I think it's the best Sonic title to release this year between the two. So let's summarize. What is the ultimate problem here? This game is better than this game. The game that is essentially free if you have an Apple device and an Apple Arcade subscription is better than the $60 main title Sonic release that dropped only a few months prior. That game has been officially struggling with Sega, not selling well, and it was just drowned out by competition because it doesn't stand out. It's not really exciting. This, though, I think in the long run will have a much longer lifespan. That's the problem that your mobile game developed by your mobile division who did Sonic Dash and Sonic Forces Speed Battle, which, don't get me wrong, are incredibly fun little mobile games and are perfect for what they are. Your main thing should not be upstaged by that. That's a problem. Let's keep developing Sonic's future like Sonic Frontiers did, like Dream Team's doing on the mobile front, and maybe Sonic will just be in a better place all around when it comes to all of his major releases. So in all, I really loved Sonic Dream Team. I thought it was incredible. If you guys have the opportunity to play it, I really do highly recommend it. It is a great time. Sega Hardlight really knocked it out of the park with this title. I'm so happy about that. But this is where I pass it off to you guys and ask, what do you think? What do you think about Sonic Dream Team? Did you get the opportunity to play it, and what do you think of it? Also, what do you think about this versus Sonic Superstars? Which game do you prefer, and do you think, like me, that Dream Team kind of upstaged Superstars? Let me know in the comment section down below. I'd love to know what you guys have to say. Feel free to follow my social media links to my Twitter and Instagram in the description below. You can follow those behind the scenes of my life chat to end all things Sonic the Hedgehog. But most importantly, if you're not subscribed, make sure you're subscribed. This is the #1 destination on YouTube for all things Sonic. Whether it's video games, TV shows, comic books, merchandise, and more, we talk about it all. We're approaching the very end of 2023, which is a little scary but also exciting. But 2024 is going to be a massive year with a bunch of new stuff, with 2 TV shows, a brand new game that is just bound to be announced, and of course Sonic Movie 3. So just stay tuned to every piece of info on all of those games and all of those shows and all of those movies. You're going to want to be here for all of it because we're going to be covering every single piece of it. I can't wait for you guys to join me on the last ride. I love you guys so much. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.
Wonder what you want right now, wonder what you want right now. Used to be about it, but used to be about it, about it. Counting all my blessings and count my dollars, make it all.